Hey everyone, my today's guest for Peaceful Growth podcast is Amir. He's a founder of WPML and On the Go system. I'm sure you know WPML is one of the popular multilingual WordPress plugin out there. In fact, we have used in multiple different websites for our clients, and I'm so glad to have the founder of WPML as a guest on this podcast today. Hi, Amir.
Hello.
Amir, so how about we start with, where are you from? What's your background, or anything that you can share that will help our audience to learn about you and to know you.
I'm originally from Israel, and right now I'm in Spain, and I've lived in Argentina for a while, and I've been in the US for a while. And actually, I started the business as a side project when I was living way in the south of Argentina, and I was looking for what I can do, not being an employee, having my own business, and I tried different things. And when I started this business, there was no startup environment, no tech environment around me. There are lakes and rivers and mountains and very nice people and pretty good meat, but not many engineers. So the business started remotely. The first person who joined me was from Australia, actually. And then it just grew like that. Another one, another one, another one. And anytime we were successful, we go faster. There were times when things didn't go well for us, so we barely grew. There were times when we didn't know where the business is going, and there were times when we did things right, and then the business grew. But it grew one by one because when I started the business, that was the only way to go. It was either this or do it all myself.
And is it your first and the only business, or you also have other companies and products?
Um, Now all of my little side projects got folded into on-the-go systems.
Okay.
My first side project was maybe 30 years ago. I started it, 25 years ago, and that was actually a Windows software to print passport pictures. I
Hmm.
was I was living in Israel, and I was working for the beginning for a British company and then a US company, and I had to travel a lot. And we already had three babies. Um, and we realized that we were overpaying for printing simple passport pictures for them. And I thought maybe others are having the same thing. And it got into my head that I can write something. I wasn't a programmer at the time,
Hmm.
but I guessed this is something that I could learn. I don't think that there was an internet at that time the way it is today, because I remember it was at the end of the BPS era.
Mm-hmm.
It was a text system, text messages system. We had these noisy modems, that sound like a fax machine.
I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy to get a modem that works on 32K at the time, and it was enough. And I
Hmm.
think I had to buy a few books in order to learn how to write a user interface in Python. Um, I used Amazon for that, but it was when Amazon was shipping actual paper. Got the material, learned it, talked with other people online. When when I was actually ready with it, there was already more or less a working internet, and I sold it over the internet. People were calling this shareware at the time. That was the name that people used for software that small people are making, and
Hmm.
others clients are sharing between themselves. And I was at the very tail of this time, and there I think probably this was my first internet experience. So doing
Hmm.
that, um, I was developing the program, so I wanted to sell it. I realized there's a thing called website. And to make a website, how do you do it? And then, kind of on accident, I stumbled onto WordPress. And
And which year was that when you stumbled upon the WordPress first time?
I
If you
can look
remember?
it up. I can look it up, but it was
Yes,
one of
I.
the no, it was one of the early versions of WordPress. I think
Okay.
it was 2 point something.
Hmm.
It
So
wasn't version one
there
yet.
might be 2000. I think WordPress came up in 2004, right?
I started using it. I
Hmm.
need to look it up, but I started using it successfully
Hmm.
when WordPress added pages.
Got it.
It was just for posts at the beginning,
Hmm.
and when they've added pages, it became practical for me.
Makes sense.
Not just for me. Um, and then you're making an application that is used to make passports. Maybe you want to have it in several languages. Um, different people from different countries would like to have to take off their passports themselves. And actually, this website still exists for the passport photo application, and it does not
Hmm.
use WordPress. But I learned WordPress because of that.
Hmm.
As a business owner, at the beginning, you take care of everything.
Yeah.
So I've built a really elaborate system for generating my website with static HTML pages. And I told myself, enough's enough. I've done it once, I'm not going to do it again. And I was looking for a nicer system to manage content. Yeah, so this is how I
Hmm.
got into it.
Hmm. And how big is WPML? Let's talk about the WPML itself. Like, how big is
Yes.
the WPML businesses in terms of installs, clients, or anything like that
Yes.
that can help us understand?
We've got about 250,000 active clients.
Wow.
Strangely enough, it's difficult for us to measure because we
Hmm.
have yearly renewals. And there are
Hmm.
some clients who go out of business or change something during a year. So we have this number, but we're not 100% sure that all of these people are going to continue next year.
Hmm. Right.
Um, it's a lot of clients, and they're
Hmm.
building. Right now, we've got registered about 1.5 million sites, active sites.
Wow. That's a really great success, and congratulations for building such a massive growth and success.
Thanks.
And how big is your team who's working on
We
WPML?
are okay. So we've got a few things going. And WPML is actually a complex entity because, well, overall, I think that we've got 25, 25 to 30 developers working directly on WPML, but
Hmm.
it's not only on the plugin. So there's the plugin, there's the PHP code, and then we've got our hosted translation editor. We call it our advanced translation editor. It's a
Hmm.
hosted system, so there are a few people working on that. WPML has integration with about 90 translation services. There are a few people maintaining these integrations and creating new ones. Um, we're compatible with a great number of themes and plugins, and there's another team of people who works on that. There are people who work on documentation or on design, and there's another big team working on support. But overall, I think it's about 60 people working on something on the project.
Hmm.
About half of them are developers, and the rest would be supporters and writers and admin.
Makes sense. And over 1.5 million installs,
Yeah.
250,000 clients, right? Great. And so, and how long it has, like, WPML has been in the business in terms of
Um,
years?
12 years now.
20?
12 years now.
Okay, great. So, wow, yeah, you have built really massive and successful business just in 12 years. And those are numbers are really, really very inspiring. I wonder that at this moment, like, you have, let's say, 250,000 customers, but in the beginning, like when 12 years ago when you started, I'm sure that to your journey to get your first 1,000 customer, I'm curious, like, what worked for you at that time, or what sort of strategies that you applied at that time to get your first 1,000 customers. Because a lot of people who listen to this podcast, they are WordPress entrepreneurs, or they have product business, or like some sort of digital business. And one thing I have heard from them is like they always are curious and to learn about how to get your first 1,000 customers, because that's kind of like a very hard part. So do you have any advice or tips that you want to share there?
Yes, well, something which I actually heard personally from a very successful entrepreneur in Israel before I started this business, and that was that there's luck. Luck goes around,
Okay.
and the difference between good entrepreneurs and less successful entrepreneurs is they notice when chance is going by them, is approaching them, and they pay attention and they capitalize on it. They make the most of it, because almost everyone has some sort of interaction with luck. But many people, they're either not in a position, or they just don't think that they need to act on it. And I think I took his advice actually seriously, and I try to be very aware of what's going on around me and notice when there's a risk that we should avoid, and when we have an opportunity which we need to grab. These opportunities, they come and they go. And if you don't act on them on time, they will go. Um, and this element of luck is essential, in my opinion, because there are things that are completely outside of our control, always. They can be for good and for bad, but they are outside of our control. And we can't predict them, we can't make them happen, we can't force them, but we can be aware of them. At least we can be aware of them and do something. So our great moment of luck with WPML was when we got accidentally kicked out of the WordPress repository. My advice to entrepreneur is not to get kicked out of the WordPress repository. That's not an advice that I have. Go get kicked out.
Yeah.
Okay, that is not an advice to write down now. But it happened to us in a weird time, and we realized that we could do something good with that. Because what happened was that we accidentally, without intending, we violated one of the regulations of the WordPress repository. At the time, it was our fault. Okay, it was nobody else's fault. But the result of this is that we got suspended. And then what we've noticed immediately after our suspension started is that we have people, WPML was free at the time. We have people finding our website and asking us, can we get it from you? Instead of from the WordPress repository. So it's kind of a light bulb came up and said, they know us already.
And how many installs or customers you had at that time when you got kicked out of the WordPress directory?
Not that
Do you remember?
many. Not that many.
Okay.
I think maybe a few tens of thousands.
Okay.
Definitely not millions. I realized, they're coming to us and they're asking us. So at the beginning, we told them, okay, here's a zip file. You can download it from our site. We're trying to fix it. And then I started, I had an idea. I will write a post on our blog, and I will make a proposition for clients, and I will say for users, and I'll see how they think about this. And the proposition was like this: you pay us some money, with this money, we will hire one or two developers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we will use this capacity in order to improve on many things that we wanted to improve, and you want us to improve. And the relationship between us and the clients is going to change. Where instead of begging us to do something, you'll be in a position where you can demand because you're paying now. We are not doing you a favor, okay? We're delivering on what you actually paid. I wrote this. I said, what's the worst thing that can happen? It was free until now. What can they fire us? We already got kicked out of the repository. It's free. What do we have to lose here? And I was very surprised by the feedback. I said, yes, please take our money. Let us get rid of all these bugs. What you have is better than what other free products have, but it's not good enough. We'd like something better. And that was it. So I assumed that people would be good for the award. And we got another developer. We were two at the time. We got one, maybe two more. I don't remember already. I remember the names, but I don't remember if they joined before or after clients started paying. But I know that we got at least one developer before. And I laid down a plan with another blog post for the clients. And I told them, okay, so we need this time and we're going to deal with these issues. And there was a list there. And we're going to ask you to pay this and this money. In the meanwhile, you can still have the previous version, which is free. And when we're done, we're not going to return to the WordPress repository. We'll stop giving away the free version, but you'll have something way better. And that's it. And then we went quiet for a few months. There was no point in releasing updates or anything like this. I just wanted us to, for the first time, deliver on what we're saying. It was the first promise that I've made to potential clients. I wanted us to be true to our promise. You don't want to start a business relationship by not meeting your first obligation, right? And we worked pretty hard on it, and we delivered the version. It was pretty good. It did what it promised to do, and they paid. I don't remember his family name, but I remember the first name of our first client, which is Ralph, because I was looking at it very anxiously the moment we released it and we enabled the e-commerce functionality on our site.
Yeah,
I remember him. He was from Germany. His name was Ralph. And yeah, he bought, and then more people bought, and more people bought. It was very nice.
and before that time, you didn't have the premium version of the plugin, right? You only had the free version.
We had a kind of premium something. You could go. We tried to sell support.
Okay.
We tried to give away the plugin for free and to sell support, and this did not work for us at all.
Right.
Not even close to working. And then it worked. And from that moment on, it became a business. There's nothing to learn from here, just to pay attention. Because this is a set of combinations that you cannot replicate. But you can pay attention, because we could have ignored it. We could have just said, okay, so we'll comply, we'll update, and we'll get restored and just revert to what it was. Or there were many opportunities to not pay attention to what's going on around us.
I love that story, Amir. And I think not just the story, but I think there is a really important message there, where a lot of time as an entrepreneur, we will run into unexpected problems or unexpected situations that you don't desire to be in that spot, but like life situation will put you into that moment. And as an entrepreneur, I think we have a choice that either we cry about that situation, or see how I can actually turn this situation into opportunity, or take the right actions. I think and I'm sure like you didn't know at that time. I assume that that whether this is going to work or not. But anyway, you say like this is the right thing to do, and that's the only thing at that moment that you can do, and which you did, and it worked out.
I think the worst thing is to be ignorant, not to be even aware that something is happening around you.
Yeah. Thanks for
Turns
sharing
out,
that, Amir.
no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really, really inspiring and insightful. Um, so that incident opened up this new, uh, the premium model for you, where you were able to build more features and
Yes.
have a premium plugin. Um, so, what about the your marketing or growth strategy in order to acquire more customer, or grow from, let's say, 1,000 customers to more, maybe? Is there any particular marketing strategy that would really work for you and that you will like to advise other entrepreneurs to utilize?
Well, I assumed at that time that it would be really difficult for me
Mm,
to uh, to create awareness of our product among people who don't know about it. Really
mm,
difficult. And I I asked myself, okay, so where are these people? Where are they? What are they listening to?
mm,
So one thing we could do is pay for banners and disturb them, disturb my potential clients.
mm,
The big thing at that time was banners.
mm,
Um, and okay, I was seeing plenty of banners at that time, and I didn't particularly appreciate that. So I thought, well, I don't like being disturbed. Maybe my potential clients would not like to be disturbed. So what else can we do? How else can people know about us when they haven't heard about this before? So okay, they have to be listening to someone, or following someone. They take advice from someone. I thought, okay, it's a small ecosystem. They're probably using other themes or other plugins. They're probably using a theme. You have to use a theme in order to build a site with WordPress site. You can't just run the CMS without any theme. Um, so we initiated cooperation with theme authors,
mm,
and we said, we, let us do the work. We'd like our plugin to work very nicely with your theme and allow people to build a multilingual site with your theme. And we tried different ways of how to do it, but in general, that was what helped us a lot. Uh, because really everyone needs to have a theme, and there will always be some people who need a multilingual site. And I assume that the first person that they're going to ask, how do I make it work, is the person who created that theme, right? Because it looks like he should know. Um, and that actually worked well for us. And of course, I'm simplifying the story, but that is the idea.
right.
Um, and it's one thing to say it and another thing to do it, but this worked well for us. And
Mm,
what worked well for us at that time might not work well for someone today. The
yeah.
marketplace was also different. There were
Mm,
many fewer themes at that time. So today to do it, I'm not sure it would work equally,
mm,
because there are so many themes. Who are you going to talk with? How are you going to accomplish this? And these theme authors are bigger businesses now. They have entire operations. How are you going to go about doing that? But at that time, I don't know if you remember, but there was a theme, I think, called Atahualpa, and there was another theme called, none of them exist. Um, what's the name of the guy who had this terrible public fight with Matt Mullenweg? Bruce something. Just a few good themes.
okay.
And the people running them did not run a multi-million-dollar business yet.
Mm,
So we could all have friendly conversations,
mm,
and it was in everyone's interest. And like at that time, the strategic decision that I took was, I don't mind who's paying for this. I don't need to split the costs.
okay.
I don't, yes, they benefit from it as well. Of course, they will benefit from it.
Mm,
But since I have the interest, I'm not interested in who's paying the bill. We'll
mm,
develop, we'll build the expertise. If they want to contribute, that's great. Otherwise, I don't need it. So we literally we bent over backwards to accomplish this compatibility. And then we reached a state where it just becomes like a de facto standard, because no matter which good theme you were using, it would be compatible with WPML. And then obviously it set a standard. So when other people wanted to make their themes popular, being compatible with WPM became a criteria. But again, this is stuff that is, I'm sure, entertaining to hear, but you cannot replicate it today because things have changed. So, like I said before, you need to be aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
And to be aware of what is happening now. Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about now that you have 250,000 customers, and I see on your website, I think your plugin has 3 different pricing: 39, 99, and 199, right? So with this pricing and this customer, what's your revenue as of today, and where do you want to grow in next few years?
So the good thing is that we've been profitable since the beginning, and we plan on being profitable. We make today, we gross several millions a year. It allows us to pay our bills, pay our salary, pay everything, and have a nice extra for growth. And we're using this growth both to improve the product that we have, to create additional things that clients want related to WPML, and to create other things that we think clients will want as well, that are outside of WPML.
And so one thing that you shared earlier, which is asking the right question and finding that where or who your customer listen to or follow their advice. And in this case, you figured out this theme company, and so you kind of like created a strategic partnership with them. So that worked really well for you. But after that, let's say now you have a multi-million-dollar business, and so do you think you will still continue to use the same strategy, or there is something new that you learned or trying to implement to grow your business that you would like to share?
I don't think that it's a good idea to use a strategy. And in fact, I had the misfortune of hiring and letting go of several marketing people. And the reason I had to let go of them was because they insisted on replaying a strategy that worked for them previously. We had one marketing person who joined, and she was obsessive about using Twitter. Okay, because it worked for her on a previous business, and she assumed that's the way to go. And we had to stop working with a different marketing person because he was obsessed about conferences, of all things, about conferences. So my understanding of it is that every time and every case requires its own attention. Just replaying chapters from your history needs a lot of luck. It should not work. I mean, if you happen to be in exactly the same situation over again with a different product, this is amazing luck, in my opinion.
I see. My take on that is that, like in my business, like I have 3 business: Multi-Dots, which is our agency business, and Multicollab and Dot Store is our product business. And what I try to do is like try to have at least 50% of the things that we have done in the past, scale it if it worked, just kind of like put 50% time and energy scaling what worked in the past, and also continue to innovate new strategy in another 50% and invest and experiment with those new strategy. Because I believe in balancing that out, because something that has already worked in the past, and so how we can scale that more and also continue to innovate new strategy and new ideas so that we can also continue to learn from that. Because yeah, in one context, I agree with you on that, that as our business grows, like when my business was doing less than $1 million, we kind of like had a different marketing strategy and approach. But the moment we get to a couple of $1 million business, we had to find other ways to grow the business.
So on the first thing that I did, I completely understand you, because if you're applying again something that you've done, then at least you know how to do it correctly. Okay, there's a huge difference whether you're doing something and you know how to do it, rather than when you're also figuring out how to do it correctly. Okay, so on my first little enterprise was this Windows application to print passport pictures, and I had a different strategy at that time. My strategy was search engine optimization. Okay, but it was 20-something years ago. Yeah, well, almost 20 years ago. I'm getting old. So at that time, doing SEO was easier than it is today. And what I had to do is write good content. And I volunteered to work in an organization called Demos at that time, which was the directory, the open directory that Yahoo used.
Okay.
Before Google, people looked up websites according to directories. And there was something called Open Directory. And that directory categorized websites according to what they do. It was a hierarchical tree. And that directory needed people to maintain it, editors. So I volunteered to be an editor on something which I was familiar with. And I did a lot of work, but it also allowed me to include links to my website where it made sense, along with other places, okay, along with other sites that should have belonged there. So I volunteered to put some order in the category where my website belonged. Now, I don't think you could repeat that now. I don't think anyone could repeat this kind of weird strategy today. Things have changed so much. We had a different project related to translations for mobile apps. So my strategy for that was let's get involved in discussion forums related for mobile app developers, and let's be helpful there. Let's show that we have some authority, and let's mention what we're doing when it's relevant. So that's different and that different. And what we did for WPML, working with these team authors, is different. So I guess if your businesses have some sort of similarity, and the environment has some sort of similarity, I would also retry what I've done before. But if so many things are different, then I think it's a good idea to stop and try to figure out what makes sense for this business.
Yeah.
Okay guys, so if you're interested to check out how Multicollab works and how Multicollab can solve your problems or improve your content publishing workflow, you can go to our website and click on the Try Demo tab in the menu section. Then simply fill out your details and there you go. Now you have access to the demo environment where you can test all the amazing features that Multicollab has to offer.
And one question I want to go back to is profitability. So you mentioned that you were profitable in the beginning and you're still profitable. So one question I have is, a lot of entrepreneurs who are want to start a WordPress product business. They're very excited about the whole idea of starting a product, and that will become a multi-million dollar business one day. But one thing that they struggle is to figure it out, like how much investment, because product business is very different than agency business, where in agency business, you get the cash upfront, but in product business, you have to put a lot of efforts in order to build the product, promote the product, and eventually you become profitable. So my question is, like, what advice would you give to a new entrepreneurs, that how much in terms of maybe dollars or pounds or euros that a new entrepreneur should invest or will be investing before they become a profitable?
I think it depends on your level of expenses.
What about your business? Like, do you have any numbers in your mind that you
yes,
invested?
definitely. But my situation was that I started with some fixed amount of money, some relatively small fixed amount of money. I think it was something like $20,000 or something along these lines, which just I saved from salaries. I put aside little by little, and I saved a little cash pile. And then the trick was, how do we make this last? How do we make this small pile of money last to enough time to develop a working product? And I was living in Israel at that time, and Israel was never a very low-cost country. So my solution for that would be, let's go live for a few years in a really low-cost place, and this same pile of money would just last a lot longer. This is how we ended up living in Argentina.
Makes sense.
I think I would have burned. I think so. I probably would have burned through the whole thing in about half a year in Israel, and I made it work for 3 years or so in Argentina.
So this $20,000 roughly that you had, right? How did you allocate that between the product and marketing, like product development and marketing? And was this $20,000 was the only, like, was enough to be a profitable, or you had to put more money later on in order to become a profitable business?
So it was some initial money that I had stashed away, but I stopped my day job when my business allowed me to sustain at least myself. So at that time, I stopped my day job. So if you're asking about how I allocated the budget, in the morning I would work on coding, and in the afternoon I would work on the website, and during the day I would reply to clients. So there you have it: development, marketing, and customer support.
And support. I love it.
And I think many people do that at the beginning.
Yeah, of course.
So
how long
you don't have a fixed allocation?
Profitable?
Several months after we got kicked out of the WordPress repository, it became really profitable.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that worked out. Yeah.
Yes. Worked out for clients as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really happy to be able to demand things of us. Before that, the relationship was bad for everyone. I had to beg for money, and they had to beg for features. And now nobody's begging.
Yeah.
Now it's a healthy relationship.
Yeah. So where do you get most of your clients from now, as of today? Like, do you get more from WordPress directory, where you have a free plugin, or how do you get most of your customers from?
Well, they know us. By now they know us because our name appears in so many places. Many people going into WordPress, they would ask someone how to accomplish what WPML does, and our name would come up somewhere. Okay, so you can't start from the end. They know us because we've been around for a long time and we've been pretty consistent about what we're doing. But you can't start from this point. You have to start from zero.
Awesome. Well, Amir, thank you so much for sharing all those insights and some of the stories about how you took different decisions in a different situation, how you handled that to grow WPML to such a successful business where it is today. Now I want to switch gears to more in the aspect of so let's say in order to grow this business, like 60 people, 250,000 customers, it's a big responsibility. So how do you balance this growth with peace? And yeah, if you have any advice there or any struggle that you have there.
My life is full of ups and downs. There are times where I really enjoy what I do, and there are times when I feel that it's heavy. And I don't know if I'm the only one who's starting a business and feels this way. I suspect maybe not. I try to avoid vacations, and instead of taking a vacation, I want to enjoy every day. I don't like being in a situation where I need to wait for the weekend or for a special week in order to enjoy myself and to suffer the rest of the time. Just the other day, I was watching some sketch with my son about high-tech culture in Tel Aviv, and someone was making fun of happy hour. Like, okay, so you need an hour to be happy. What are you doing with the rest of the time? Okay,
that's a good point. Yeah.
So that's what I feel when I disconnect for some time. I feel much better and recharged. But I like to arrange my life so that I don't need to disconnect. That I'd like to enjoy what I'm doing, and I'd like to enjoy work and the time that I'm not working. So, and I work from home. So I think anyone working from home needs to take care of these things, because we don't go to the office. We can stay with our pajamas the whole day. we can go for a whole week without seeing a single person. It's really bad. And doing this for even for a few months would kill me, I think. So me and my wife, we always arrange that we'll have nice things to do every day, every week, and during the year. Not wait for a vacation. Is this what you were asking, or something else?
No, that was exactly. Okay. I think you hit the ground, because it's a very profound advice and thing that you shared. That a lot of time what happens is we procrastinate the happiness. We're like, oh, I will be happy when I go on a vacation. I will be happy, when I have a free time. But what you are suggesting is like, just try to be happy in the moment, and like, don't have to plan the happiness, but
yes.
Happiness is there in everyday routine, and find the happiness. And most important thing is, to celebrate those little success and the moment in the routine.
It takes work. I mean, it takes attention, because this is something that you need to pay attention to and do it purposely. It's not just let's have a coffee and enjoy. No, you need to actually plan your routine so that these things that you know that you like, they're integrated inside it. Otherwise, other things will take over your time.
So do you feel?
Yes, one.
Yeah. Do you feel content with what you have achieved so far, or there is more that you're planning to achieve in your life?
Yeah, there's more. There's gotta be more.
Yeah.
I think I've met a few founders of businesses, and I don't remember anyone who said, I'm going as far as this, I'll accomplish this, I'll retire, and I'll go fishing. I haven't met anyone who thinks that way and actually has a successful business. I think one common thing to people who start a business, we get some sort of inner fun from building something. And you lose this if you completely stop and you just go fishing. It's not bad to go fishing. I don't fish. I like to eat fish, but I don't go fishing myself. But I understand the concept of standing on a pier watching the sunset. I mean, I love doing it, but I would not love doing it just that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's just about the money.
true. No, I agree 100% with that, especially because when I was 15-year-old, I had a dream that I want to become a millionaire, and growing up in a town in India, it was a lot of money. So 15 years later, when I turned 30, I achieved that goal. I had the $1 million in my account. But at that time, what I realized that it wasn't the $1 million that I was happy about, but it was like the journey, that 15 years, everything that I did, like starting a business, meeting all these people and experimenting with different things, all those ups and downs. I love that journey so much, and that kind of like became now a goal. Like the journey becomes the destiny for me now, than the goal itself. And I think that's kind of like something that you are trying to also say, if I'm correct.
I think that you said it in better words than I did. It's the same thing, but you phrased it nicer.
Great. So next question, Amir, I have is, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneurs who are starting the business now?
First, for me, it was always my job is to understand the clients. And not always agree with them, but necessarily understand them. Okay. Clients are, there's a saying that the client may not always be right, but he's always the client. So you need to understand him. And typically clients are not evil and they're not dumb. And sometimes we have the tendency to say that the clients are attacking us or they don't know what they're asking. Not exactly. We need to make a significant effort to understand them. And then I realized that when I have employees, then I need to be the one representing the clients, the interests of the clients. So that's probably my number one responsibility, being the ambassador of the clients in my business. And another really important thing is to make sure that our team is happy, that they don't get burned out, they don't get bored, they don't feel like what they're doing is pointless, to take care of our team. Of course, we have HR people, but I think that this is something that will always stay with me, including even making sure that the HR people are happy. I think this is enough. Just understand your clients, care about your clients, and make sure that your team is happy. I think if we do just these two things, we'll be okay.
Awesome. And what's your biggest new learning in 2023 to date?
Oh, of course, everyone's using AI now. I'm so happy about this. Really, for a few years, I didn't manage to write any line of code, zero. And now I'm a programmer again, and I'm so much enjoying myself. Because I have this little, I don't like to say it, but I've got this little slave to whom I'm paying $20 a month in subscription. And I can tell this slave, just write this code, and he does it. And if I'm not happy, I can tell him to change and tell him to iterate and whatever, and does everything in 10 seconds. It's really nice. So to me, in this year, this has opened up many personal possibilities. It allows me to get back to what I enjoy the most. And there are other things going on around us, but personally, this is what's affecting me directly the most.
Yeah, I tell all my team that ChatGPT or all the AI tools, consider them as an intern. So like an intern, if you train them really well, then they can actually free up a lot of time for you. So consider them as a very intelligent interns. They're more intelligent even that you can find those interns. But consider them as in your digital interns.
It's a very knowledgeable intern.
Mm-hmm.
It's an intern that knows almost everything, and is happy to give you what you need. It's really nice. And at the beginning, people had some concerns about how this is going to affect them, and then they realized it's not going to replace anyone. It's like an amazing assistant. You ask it, it does. It does what you ask when you ask of it. But you need to ask. You need to know what you're asking. It doesn't do that for us. I don't. This is not the kind of work that I give to our developers. I want our developers to do. I don't mind who writes a few lines of code. Developers now have more responsibility to actually think. Everyone's just become a software architect. Just writing code according to someone else's definition has become a commodity. Now people are free to deal with higher level things, and most of them are doing it. It's really nice.
Yeah. Amir, do you read books or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite recommendation for the young entrepreneurs or someone who is running a business?
No, but
No.
I personally no, because I think it's a personal test. I personally like history books.
Okay.
The amazing thing about history books is, especially books about financial history. The amazing thing about this is like you're watching through a time machine, and you're seeing how things go in fast forward. And it's like you're seeing you're seeing the future, because there are so many parallels between what has already happened and what is happening today, that just by knowing many of these cases, it improves your intuition and makes you understand faster what's likely going to come. So this is how our brain works. First time we run into something, we need to slowly analyze it. But when we've seen something many times, then we can already intuitively figure out what's going on. Like when you started driving a car, you had to be very conscious about every tiny little thing that you're doing on the dashboard. And if, God forbid, someone was having a conversation next to you, that could turn into an accident, because you need 100% of your mental capacity to process what is going on. And we don't do it today. Today you can be driving, watching the birds, having a conversation with someone, listening to radio, and it's all good. And many times you don't even remember what you were doing on the way, because it all happens automatically. I think it's because this is how our brain works. We get used to something and we can do it automatically. And the interesting thing about reading other stories, especially history, which is a process, I think it helps develop an intuition about what would be the likely outcome today, because you've already seen something very similar many times by different people. Lets you make the decisions faster without effort.
Is there any one particular book that you read that changed your life in a big way?
There's a very classic book about the 7 habits of effective people. Who wrote it? I have to look for it.
Yeah. I think that's a
very
good book.
famous book.
Yeah.
And I read it a few times, and I think it's taken me a few times to really absorb everything.
Yeah.
And the other book that I can almost remember by heart is actually Lawrence of Arabia.
Okay.
This book started just before the First World War, and it ended towards the end of World War One, and it tells the whole story from a very intimate point of view of the author. And I think that there's, for me, there was a lot to learn about human nature from a book like this, because when people are under pressure, then many times the true character comes out, and people were under a lot of pressure during that time.
Yeah, I read this book called *Sapiens: Brief History of Humankind* by Yuval Noah Harari. That was a really good book to learn. I mean, for me specifically, when it comes to history and just to know the human behavior, that book is fantastic.
So you also have a healthy attraction to history.
Honestly, history has not been my favorite subject and topic, and I read a lot of, but I like biographies and stories of other leaders, successful, or people who basically are the change makers. So I like to learn from someone else's life and the stories. I love reading biographies and autobiographies. That's my favorite. But somebody recommended me this book, and
it's very popular.
It was on my list.
It's very popular in Israel
because
it was written by an Israeli, I think.
Oh yeah, the author.
I
think so. Yeah, you're right. I think he's from Israel.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. And
I like podcasts. So, like I told you, I try to mix in some sort of activity basically every day. And now we're living in Madrid, so this activity means I'm walking about half an hour each direction.
Right.
And this is perfect for me. Walking alone with a little story playing in my ears. I love that. That's really nice.
What are the podcast? What kind of podcasts do you listen to?
There's a podcast from two American economists called Words and Numbers.
Okay.
And it's a very intelligent podcast.
We'll put that in our show note.
Yes, and there's a podcast in Hebrew actually, also talking about economic history. It's in Hebrew anyway, and it picks on topics from older and from modern history, and it analyzes the history from economic point of view to show what were the actual forces that made things happen. Many things we have a notion that they were done because of different reasons. Almost always, if not always, there's an economic motivation behind them. And he does a lot of research into understanding what were the real drivers here. And there are always drivers, always consequences, always unintended consequences. He does wonderful analysis. I can send you, if you're collecting notes, I can send you a link to that. It's in Hebrew, so maybe your Hebrew speaking listeners can enjoy that.
So Amir, last few questions I have, and then we can bring this home and land here. So the next question is anyone comes to your mind from your network who will be the right fit for this podcast as a guest for the future?
Let me think about this, and I can send you a smarter recommendation.
That'll be great. Appreciate
it. I have a lot of respect for the founders of Elementor. I've known them since they were a tiny team figuring out what to do with their themes. And what I really like about them is that they had from from years ago, they had a clear vision of what they want to do. And many people, including myself, highly doubted it, doubted their vision. And they made true on that. They actually knew their clients and they knew the market much better than many others. And they did not go sideways. They went completely straight with their vision, and they didn't let anyone convince them otherwise. And I'm sure that they had many temptations to go sideways, and they delivered exactly on what they said they would deliver many years ago. That was great.
Yeah.
And they did not go into an easy business. They went into a difficult business. The timing wasn't in their favor, and they still delivered. Because again, they knew what people want. They understood their clients very, very well, and they knew how to deliver exactly on that. It's really nice.
Yeah. No, I have a huge respect for Elementor, and I would love to have the founders of the Elementor on this podcast if that works out. But I agree that the success and the growth that they have built in WordPress economy, I think it's really very inspiring.
Okay.
Yeah. And the last thing, Amir, is how can people find you online and learn more about you? If you can mention some of those resources that people should check out to learn more about you and your business.
Well, we have our website, and people can find it easily. It's wpml.org. There's also a link at the bottom of the website to our company site where we have more personal stories about people on our team. The company site is more of an HR thing. So people can go visit it and they can see a little bit about me and a lot more about different people in the team. They can get a good sense also for how the company is run and the company culture, what we actually care about. I do have a LinkedIn profile, but I'm not a big user of social networks.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants me personally, I have a Facebook page. It looks like it's been abandoned, but I use it for personal reasons. If anyone is interested in Argentine tango or windsurfing or hiking, I'm interested.
Wow, I love it.
Okay.
No, we'll put your a Facebook profile and any profile that you want that people can connect with you. We'll definitely do that.
So for business things, nothing personal for me is necessary.
Okay.
We have enough people checking the contact form on our site, and nothing gets forgotten. So if there's anything that should come to me, it will come to me, and if someone else can handle this instead of me, it'll get done. So don't need any special favors in order to get things done from us. And if someone wants to connect with me personally, not necessarily about work things, then my Facebook page will be just fine.
That's great. Well, Amir, thank you so much for your time today, and you have been so generous and open to share all your expertise and insight. And WPML, the success that you have built with WPML, is really amazing and inspiring. And I would highly recommend anyone who are looking for multilingual solution in their WordPress website, check out WPML. It's one of the most famous and popular multilingual plugin. And then we as an agency, we also use that and recommend to our clients, and will recommend anyone wants to implement a multilingual website in WordPress. Thank you so much, Amir, for your time today.
Thank you, Anil.
It was great.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having this conversation.
Yeah, it was fun.
Great. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay guys, so thank you for watching. Now if you are interested and would like to try this out for yourself, we offer a 30-day free trial of our Pro plan where you can test all the Multicollab features. So for this, all you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and this will bring you to this page, and under the Pro heading, simply click on this button here. Now simply enter a few details and that's it. You're ready to enjoy the Pro version of Multicollab for free for 30 days. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.